For over 7 centuries, the samurai stood as Japan's legendary warrior class, masters of the sword, guardians of honor, and embodiments of a code that would define a nation's soul. These remarkable photographs from the 1860s capture the final generation of true samurai, men and women who lived through Japan's most dramatic transformation from feudal isolation to modern empire. The samurai emerged in the Heian period as mounted warriors serving the imperial court, but they evolved into something far more complex and fascinating. They became philosophers, poets, administrators, and above all, living symbols of Bushido, the way of the warrior. This ancient code demanded absolute loyalty, personal honor, courage in the face of death, and compassion for the weak. It was a comprehensive way of life that shaped every aspect of their existence, from how they dressed and spoke to how they faced death itself. What made the samurai truly extraordinary wasn't just their martial prowess, but their remarkable complexity as human beings. These were warriors who could compose haiku poetry as skillfully as they wielded their katana. They practiced tea ceremony with the same precision they brought to swordsmanship. They studied flower arrangement, calligraphy, and music. They were expected to be cultured, literate, and spiritually disciplined. Warrior philosophers who embodied the highest ideals of their society while remaining deadly effective in combat. The katana wasn't merely a weapon. It was the soul of the samurai. These curved steel masterpieces, forged by legendary swordsmiths using techniques passed down through generations, were considered sacred objects imbued with spiritual power. A samurai sword was passed down through family lines, each blade carrying the honor, memories, and fighting spirit of its previous owners. The relationship between warrior and sword was so intimate that samurai believed their soul resided within the steel itself. To lose one sword was to lose one's honor entirely. Training began in childhood and never truly ended. Young samurai learned not just swordsmanship, but archery, horsemanship, strategy, calligraphy, poetry, and philosophy. They studied the classics of Chinese and Japanese literature, practiced Zen meditation, and learned to face death without fear through rigorous mental discipline. This holistic education created individuals of extraordinary depth and capability, equally at home discussing Buddhist philosophy or planning military campaigns. The samurai class was hierarchical and complex. At the top were the daimyo, feudal lords who controlled vast territories. Below them were the hatamoto, direct retainers of the shogun. Then came the gokunin, lower-ranking samurai who served local lords. At the bottom were the ishigaru, foot soldiers who aspired to samurai status. Each level had its own privileges, responsibilities, and codes of conduct. But by the 1860s, when these haunting photographs were taken, the samurai faced an impossible choice. Japan was opening to the Western world after centuries of deliberate isolation, and the age of the sword was rapidly ending. The arrival of Commodore Perry's black ships in 1853 had shattered Japan's isolation forever. Western technology, military tactics, and political ideas were flooding into Japan, challenging everything the samurai held sacred. The Meiji Restoration of 1868 would abolish the samurai class entirely, replacing feudal warriors with modern soldiers armed with rifles, artillery, and Western military tactics. The new government needed engineers, diplomats, and industrialists, not sword-wielding warriors bound by ancient codes. These images capture men and women standing at the crossroads of history, watching their ancient world dissolve before their eyes. Look closely at their faces in these photographs. You can see the weight of this monumental transformation. The elaborate armor, the ceremonial swords, the traditional top-knot hairstyles, all symbols of a way of life that was becoming obsolete in the face of rapid modernization. Some embraced change, becoming leaders in Japan's modernization, helping to build railroads, establish schools, and create modern institutions. Others clung desperately to tradition, fighting hopeless battles against the unstoppable march of progress. The famous Satsuma Rebellion of 1877 would be their last stand, where samurai charged modern artillery with nothing but swords, courage, and an unshakable belief in their code. Seigo Takamori, the last great samurai leader, led this final, feudal resistance against modernity itself. His defeat marked the end of an era that had lasted nearly 1,000 years. Yet their legacy endures in ways both profound and subtle. The samurai spirit, their dedication to excellence, their sense of duty, their relentless pursuit of perfection, became permanently woven into the fabric of Japanese culture. From the meticulous craftsmanship of Japanese artisans to the disciplined approach of modern Japanese business, from the dedication of Japanese athletes to the precision of Japanese technology, the samurai influence remains profound and unmistakable. These photographs are more than mere historical documents. They're windows into the souls of extraordinary individuals who live by a code most of us can barely comprehend. They remind us that honor, courage, and dedication to something greater than ourselves never truly die, even when the world changes beyond recognition. The samurai may have vanished into history, but their spirit lives on,